Okay, you guys, this is the official welcome to the Curated podcast, which is kind of crazy to be saying. I've been kind of working on this idea for a while now, and I didn't quite know what it was, but I started to get these inklings over the past, year, 2 years even, on wanting to tell stories in a different way. So I'll kind of give you the whole rundown, but case in point, I'm so glad that you're here. And just first and foremost, I can't thank my guests enough for being part of this first season. This is just so exciting. I can't even believe the conversations that I was able to have with these incredible guests from around the world in so many different industries. It's truly a blessing. And there's nothing more that I love than sharing stories. So this is really special to me, and I'm really excited for you guys to see it all come to fruition. But I will take you back. So I've been in media for, majority of my career. I've bounced between more the media side and definitely within luxury, really focusing on trend analysis and a bit more of this whole why of what we were doing. And then I've also been on the retail sides. And the biggest thing that I've noticed is that there's an incredible amount of talent out there. And whether you're looking for placement in an article or in a department store, there's not always the perfect fit for it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this kind of started to eat away at me. I I think I get really frustrated. Connecting with people who maybe they have a small brand or they've had an incredible career path and you really want to tell their story and maybe it made an impact on me personally, whatever it might be. But a lot of times with the way that things are, there's just not always a fit. So, and it's just how things go sometimes. And at the end of the day, a lot of this, it is a business. So I get it. And, I'm not knocking the way that media works, the way that retail works, but there's always room for improvement. Anyway, so I really started to have this in the back of my mind of going through work and just, meeting amazing people time and time again. And once I started solo traveling, this really all started to bubble up to the surface. So anyone that's ever gone shopping with me, whether it be in New York or somewhere else, I am like a chatty shopper. I'm all about I'll be asking the shop girl what's going on, how is this one trend resonating? Who's the founder? Are you the founder? All of that. I'm kind of nosy, but you hear incredible stories by doing this and you learn a lot, whether it be about a trend, about a person, about the state of the market in a certain area. It honestly, just ask people questions and be a good listener because nothing goes further than that. But anyway, so when I first got to Costa Rica, I had an amazing first day. I met incredible people. I, went out and raved under the moonlight and fulfilled all my solo travel girl wishes. And then I woke up the next day, as it goes, just a little jarred of just holy shit, I'm in another country. I am very far from home. I don't know anybody. I'm staying in a hostel. I'm a girl that's always had a studio apartment in New York City and will pay the extra money because I am very particular about my space, for better or for worse. But so this is a little jarring. I was let me get outside of my comfort zone. And I love to get outside of my comfort zone, I will say. Make me uncomfortable. I'm ready for a challenge. Anyway, my biggest grounding thing that I really do a lot in New York City is I cherish my Sundays so much. We all have our hungover Sundays or lazy Sundays. I totally get it. But my favorite freaking thing is grabbing a coffee, getting up, going for a stroll, and honestly, trying to get lost. I wish that I didn't have such a good sense of direction because I would just love to wander. So, whether I'm with a friend or whoever it is, I'm let's just stroll, see what happens. So I wanted to do that same thing in Costa Rica. It was a really grounding practice for me and just made me feel a little bit more at home. So while I was walking around, and of course I started to have these conversations as I normally do. And I just couldn't help but to feel so inspired. It was this energy burst, busting at the seams, was so excited about what these just incredibly talented people were doing on this other side of the world. And just my brain starts moving a mile a minute of like, am I going to start a concept shop? How can I help these people with retail? Can I put them in an article? Do I, what do I do? Do I start a podcast? Here we are. But basically, I started recording those conversations. All I had with me at the time was an iPhone, so I got a mini tripod, set it up, and I would go around and started talking to people and recording that and really hearing their stories. So that's how it all started. Do I think I'm Anthony Bourdain? No. Am I completely inspired by him? 100%. I love the way that he took something that was so simple as food and really looked into this deeper meaning of, well, what does food actually represent? It's connecting people. It's a way to showcase culture. It's all these like amazing different things when you actually sit and think about it. And I think so much of that about fashion as well, and with beauty and wellness. And so I really kicked this off by connecting with incredible entrepreneurial women in Costa Rica and Guatemala who I felt like their businesses were really representing the lifestyle and the culture of the country. And of course, I wasn't there that long. This was a 2-month travel stint. So am I an expert in these countries? Absolutely not. But I wanted to find a way to learn and connect. And I am definitely a person that learns by doing and communicating. And for me, that was just the best way to really understand what's going on in these other cultures. So that is how we got here. Basically, I'm going to be realistic. Can I fly to a different country every week and meet with incredible people and have film production and video edit on top of, actually having a job and money to produce all of that? No, absolutely not. So the more realistic version of this all is a podcast, but that is how the Curated came to be. I'll tell you a little bit about Curated and why I chose this. Fully transparently, I have always been obsessed with this word curated. One of my best friends who we worked on 1,000,001 projects together, she is like, you're a curator. Like, I'm not a designer. I'm not a creator. I am 100% a curator. I'm an editor. I can put things together. I can pick out. I can critique. I can envision and strategize, but I am not a designer by any means. And it is tough for me to take something and build it from the ground up from all aspects. Even though I have such an entrepreneurial spirit, I really find myself as a curator. And I think so many of us, if other people who work in media really understand this, that, you're curating these stories or a market edit or whatever it might be. But I absolutely love this word. And I think applying it to life has such a beautiful meaning too. I think every day we make choices that curate our life and ultimately who we are, down from what we choose to consume, what we choose to put in our bodies, what media we look at, how we choose to get dressed. So many of these choices, we're curating ourselves. And we're curating, who we're becoming in the future, and really taking, this deeper look at life, that these simple choices actually are so meaningful and say so much about a person. So you'll see throughout these episodes, I love to talk about moments of curation. Like, what happened in your life? Was there a quote? Was there a moment that really helped you curate your mindset or set you on the path that you're on? Or something that I joke about, you'll hear me say this 10 million times in the season, but I joke about like curating your perfect meal or your perfect day. And I always say, like, that's one of my favorite date questions. I feel like these little choices say so much about us. And I love getting to know people in different ways that maybe it's a Scorpio in me, maybe it's a little sneaky in a way, but it says a lot. So that's my take on curation. And I think it can also have a bit of a negative connotation, which I think is such a shame, truly. But, it kind of drives into this perfectionism of, I've curated it to look this certain way, and this is how I show up, or this is how I want something to look like, and it's not authentic. I mean, who's to say? You know, I think that can go so many different ways, and really it's up to you how you want to curate yourself and your life and all of that. But at the end of the day, that's what curating means to me, and I really wanted to connect with people. So connecting with people in this way and figuring out their life's curation was what really sparked this podcast. And to me, it's going so much further. It's really diving into this why in life. I love a good career podcast. Do not get me wrong. I've listened to sickening hours of how I built this. And I think it's incredible, and it really inspired a lot of my career as well. But there's so much about the why. And that's something I always wonder about people is, you see them doing something absolutely amazing or out of this world, inventing something incredible, or taking a stance, whether it be on body positivity or racial injustice, whatever it might be. And, it always sparks this question in my mind of why are they doing that? Why are they doing something that's so powerful? Or why are you investing so many hours in this craft that you're pursuing? And so I think that there is just nothing more interesting than diving into the why. And to me, too, I go a little bit on a tangent, but with trend forecasting, I think a lot of people, see that as a very surface level job, and it certainly can be. But that's kind of what I love about fashion is diving into that why. And that's how I envision trends as well. It's, sure, we're talking about hot pink. And yes, we're in, surface level being invest in it, put it in your marketing buzzwords, whatever it might be. But why is that popular? I love to be the one that sifts through, whether it be that data, whether it's quantitative or qualitative, figuring out, the socioeconomical impacts that is affecting a color that's going on a mini dress. I find that so freaking fascinating. So again, bringing you really to this why in life. And I wanted to further that from having it just be within trends and fashion, but with people and their stories and their businesses and all of these amazing things. So, case in point, that is the story of the Curated podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. I hope that you join me along for this wild ride, whatever it's about to turn into. I'm very much learning to be less of a control freak and just ride with the storylines these days. That is definitely my big 2022 lesson, and really diving in again to just pursuing things for the pure joy of it, and because it sets you on fire and, just feels really amazing to do something good for yourself and for other people. So that is really why I'm doing this. Who knows what it'll turn into, but I'm thrilled to be sharing everyone's stories, and I'm absolutely honored that, these amazing creatives around the world took the time to sit down with me and share their stories. It is really absolutely special. So you'll be hearing from people within hospitality, within luxury fashion, designers who are based in Bali, just such a run of different people that I think you're really going to enjoy. And then, of course, for my media people out there, we have editors, publicists, so you're going to get to hear two different sides of those stories as well. And I am just thrilled for you guys to hear it, and I can't wait to hear what you think. But that is enough of me for now. I hope that you enjoy diving into this series, and I can't wait to see what's next.